If your business depends on sales calls to build trust, this video is for you because sales calls work, but they don't scale. And for most established service businesses, that is a real bottleneck. The quiet strain nobody talks about is at a certain point, sales calls stop being exciting and they start becoming quite exhausting. Not because you don't like clients and not because you don't believe in your work, but because you're explaining the same things over and over and over again. Your thinking, your approach, your philosophy, your boundaries. That repetition is costly. Early on, sales calls are where trust is built. That's normal. But as your business matures, trust becomes the limiting factor. Not demand, not skill, not even visibility. It's trust. Because trust still happens one conversation at a time, and that does not scale. Here's the uncomfortable truth most businesses avoid. If someone needs a full sales call just to understand how you think, your marketing is not doing its job. That's not a criticism, it's a signal. Trust at scale doesn't mean automation. It doesn't mean removing humans from the process. It does mean letting people experience you before they ever talk to you. Your judgment, your reasoning, your perspective, all of that so that the sales call isn't about proving anything, it's about deciding. Now, written content can help, but it usually falls short. Yes, blogs help, emails help, case studies help, but they don't sound like you. They don't convey tone, they don't show nuance, and they don't communicate confidence. They explain, but they don't connect. And this is where video changes things. Video does something nothing else does. It compresses trust. In a few minutes, someone can hear how you think, they can see how you explain trade-offs, they can understand what you value, and they can decide if they align. That's what normally takes multiple conversations. And from a financial perspective, keep this in mind. Every unnecessary sales call has a cost. Time, energy, opportunity. If your calendar is full of calls with people who aren't ready or aren't aligned or just aren't a fit, that's not growth, that's friction. Now, the goal is not fewer calls. Let me be clear. This is not about eliminating sales calls. It's about earning better ones. Calls where the prospect already trusts you and they already understand your approach. They already see the value. Those calls feel different and they convert differently too. So why does YouTube work especially well in this situation? Well, YouTube isn't a social platform in this context. It's a trust library and a place where your best explanations live permanently. It's where prospects can self-select and self-educate and do it on their own time, and that is scale. Most businesses try to use YouTube to generate attention, and that's backwards. The real opportunity is using YouTube to reduce explanation, to answer the questions you're tired of answering live. What does it actually look like? Well, trust-building videos aren't flashy. They tend to be calm and clear and thoughtful. They address things like common misconceptions and realistic expectations and why some approaches fail or who you're not a fit for. And that honestly builds trust faster than Persuasion ever could. And it doesn't require volume. You don't need dozens of videos. You just need the right ones. 10 or 20 strong long-form videos can do more trust-building work than years of scattered marketing. And it's because they are reusable. This changes your role in the business because when trust is built before the call, you talk less, you listen more, and you decide faster. Sales just becomes confirmation, not convincing. And that's a very different position to be in. And as you gain experience, it starts to work better. The longer you've been in business, the more valuable this becomes because you start to see patterns and you have perspective. You're not guessing anymore. YouTube lets that experience do the work without you being present. Now, this only works if you're willing to be clear. Clear about what you believe, what you don't do, and who you work best with. Vagueness absolutely kills trust, but clarity builds it. Over time, this approach reduces introductory calls and low-quality inquiries and repeated explanations and sales fatigue. Not dramatically, but meaningfully. So a simple way to think about it is if a prospect can spend 20 or 30 minutes with your thinking before a call, the call itself changes, and that is leverage. Does this approach ever not make sense? Well, to be fair, if your business doesn't rely on trust, judgment, long-term relationships, there may be faster options. But for consulting and service firms or any business built on customer trust, this is often the missing layer. If you're curious about how trust building at scale could work for your specific business, there's a link in the description box to book a short call with me. No pressure, no selling, just a practical conversation to see whether using YouTube as a trust building engine would actually make sense for your situation. And hey, if it wouldn't, I'll tell you that. Sales calls shouldn't be where trust begins. They should be where trust is confirmed. When trust is built at scale, everything downstream gets easier. Thanks for watching. Check out one of these helpful videos next, and I'll see you there.